What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another spooky season movie review. And today we are talking about a 25-year-old movie, 2000's Scream 3. Oh god, I've been really loving the Scream franchise. 1 and 2 so far have been such horror classics that I might put the Scream movies on my yearly Halloween list going forward. You know what I mean? I've been enjoying them that much. And the second one was much more of trying to tie itself to the first one. The third one did a little bit of a twist, and it's oh, there was some information from the first film that never got flushed out in the second film. We kind of moved past on purpose because the third film's about that stuff that we thought we moved past but we forgot about from the first film. And that has to do with her mom and the murder mystery behind who killed her mom and stuff like that. And finding out who her mom is and stuff like that. We never see any of that in the first movie. So bringing that back to the third movie, I can see why some people are oh, it's dumb. You know, it is what it is. And the killer in this one is very dumb. This is definitely the worst of the three I've seen so far, but still pretty damn good. You know, the whole time I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat, you know, and it's like a horror vibe, you know, not necessarily super scary, but it's got those horror, suspense, thriller vibes. But it's also a slasher movie, so it's you know who the killer is. It's ghost-faced, but then the whole time you're who's under the mask? And then you're guessing who it is the whole time. And I had Kincaid, the cop, who is played by Patrick Dempsey, McDreamy from that doctor show, Grey's Anatomy, I think. Comment below if you know McDreamy. That's what my mother and sister used to always call him. But this movie, of course, is bringing back Dewey Riley, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, Courtney Cox as Gale Weathers, Patrick Dempsey as the cop, Mark Kincaid. And I definitely thought he was the killer the whole frickin' time, but I was wrong. So spoilers if you don't want to know the killer. Okay, you're out of here? Good. The killer ended up being Roman Bridger, the director of the project, who was actually her long-lost brother, and was the real reason that his mom died, I think, and what was hunting her down, because he never wanted Sidney to live the life that he never got to. And I was just what a twisted little fuck. And then there's Lance Henriksen as John Milton as the studio president. I was I think it's him for a second. And then people Parker Posey's in there, Liev Schreiber as Cotton Weary, of course, Kelly Rutherford as his girlfriend, Christine. I had said in my previous Scream movie reviews that I thought Cotton Weary, Liev Schreiber's character, was going to be the killer in a future film. Little did I know, they start the third movie by killing him. And I was oh shit, I guess my guess was wrong, because poor Cotton Weary was not guilty and ended up just being killed. I was fuck, poor bastard. But Parker Posey in this was so funny as Gale Weathers. And Parker Posey was on the most recent season of White Lotus, and she was great in that. Jenny McCarthy was Sarah Darling. I don't know if I recognized her as Sarah Darling in this 25 years ago. I guess she just looked that different. But yeah, the killer in this one, I didn't necessarily, once it got revealed, I was okay. I hate when, the last movie and this movie did the same thing, when the killer got revealed, even though the second movie, there was two killers, just like the first movie, but it was Timothy Oliphant's character and then Billy Loomis's mom, who was posing as a reporter. Nobody, I didn't see that one coming, but I don't think there was ever a scene in the first movie where we saw Billy Loomis's mom and that was the actress. You know what I mean? There was no tie-in like that, so they just all of a sudden reveal this character as, oh, Billy Loomis's mom, and you're sitting there okay, I get it, but there should have been some type of thing for the audience that we knew that sooner than the characters. But it is what it is. And, all of a sudden at the end, he's I'm your long-lost brother. And we're all, learning this information for the first time as, we all want him to get killed. And of course, Neve Campbell does finish him off pretty well. And, or I think Dewey does actually, you know, where they shoot him a bunch of times and then he gets back up because he's superhuman. And she goes, shoot him in the head! And shoots him in the head and freaking kills him. And Dewey's like, oh, thanks. You know, like, Dewey's one of those characters like David Arquette. He hasn't really gotten to do a whole lot in these 3 movies, but every time he's on screen, I'm like, I love Dewey. You know? Scream 1, I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Scream 2, I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. And Scream 3, overall, I'm giving 3 out of 5 stars. About a 6 out of 10. If I had to give it a true 10 score, it's probably like a 6.7, 6.8, 6.9. You know, like a high 6, almost a 7, but definitely 100% the worst of the trilogy so far with the Scream movies. But I liked that they did at the end of this trilogy literally end the movie, not metaphorically or, you know, literally ended this movie, leaving the door open for a 4th film if they were to ever do it. And I believe they end up doing a 4th film 11 years after this, right? So we're talking, what's the first movie? 96 to 2011. So we're talking, what, 15 years between the first movie and the 4th, and now there's, I think, that the 7th film comes out this coming up 2026 coming year. I don't know, that's crazy. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on Scream 3. What is your score? You gave it out of 5 stars or 10 stars, whatever your scoring system is. If you're ever wondering why I do 5 stars and then I normally say my 10 score, is because everyone knows like a 1 to 10 score. But 5 stars is the Letterboxd grading system, so that's why I always do that. And if you want to see my other movie reviews on there, go check those out. Links down in the description below. But I'm definitely going to continue on Scream 4. I'm fascinated. I'm interested. I gotta know what happens next. I gotta know who the killer is in the remaining 3 films before the 7th one comes out. But I'm definitely into them, and hopefully the 4th one continues on the Scream franchise in a good way. And Wes Craven, as far as like a director, I think he's a pretty good horror director for these first 3 films. And I think he at least gets the vibe of his character quite well. And, you know, Ghostface has to pop out from around the corner. You know, and like, this movie creeps me out so much though, because there's like dark scenes where they're walking around at night and there's like, you can see the background way, way, way behind them. And every time I'm like, oh my god, is Ghostface just gonna be standing there? And he never has been. But if I was the director, that's what I would do. I'd be like, hey, this, you know, it's not that important, but just go put a Scream mask in the window of that van way, way back there and see if anybody notices it when we're like panning by. And if they do, that's then turns into like this Easter egg. Like, oh, did you see the Ghostface hiding at this time in the movie? You know, like, I wish there was a little bit more of that. A little bit more spooky, a little bit more like scare your pants off of you. But I don't know if that's the vibe they're going for. I think they're going more for a murder mystery of like, yes, a bunch of people are dying, but like, who is under the mask and why? You know, like, I'm interested in that aspect of it. And I think if I got my mother into these movies, I think she would be the same way, because she's a sucker for a murder mystery the same way I'm a sucker for a love story. So if you have any other horror movies, any other love stories, any other movies like that, so please comment those recommendations down below or message me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. And if you've made it this far into the video and you'd like to support the channel, the best way to do that is liking this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you're new, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future Scream movie reviews and you get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name is Big Camp. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!